Soju Bomb. Soju Bomb. Oh. Soju Bomb.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to yet another James with a mustache.
For the first time.
Soju Bomb. And of course, here on Soju Bomb, we talk about various aspects of Korean culture, more specifically Korean media. Here we're going to talk about a movie that is very much near and dear to my heart. Maybe not so much for the yellow dart. So a rhyme there.
Yeah, because our name's rhyme. You do that every time.
Dr. Seuss. And I'm footloose.
You fancy free. Hey, pretty lady, won't you dance with me?
That's right. Reliant K. Very good band. You guys have it.
Just that last part. They didn't say anything about Dr. Seuss or anything.
No. We added that part. Now here we're going to talk about the movie 사랑의 추억, or Memories of Murder. Now this is based upon a true story. You know how I feel about based upon a true story movies. I love based on true story movies.
Yeah. Last one we watched was That Bastard's Voice, which is a very depressing movie because it is true.
So this one is, of course, equally depressing.
Wow.
Although I felt the ending of That Bastard's Voice was a little more powerful, just because of how
they played the actual recordings of the dude.
Yeah.
That just hits you. That makes you know it's real.
That's pretty tough. Pretty tough stuff. Now for this one, this takes place in 1986, and it's about the first recorded serial killer in South Korean history. Now South Korea has a very long history, much longer than the States. They have almost 5,000 years of history.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was as a Korea as a whole, not necessarily South Korea.
Yeah, Korea as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Korean Peninsula. And the first serial killer was, like I said, fairly recent. Up until that point, whenever a murder happened, you just looked among their friends and their family.
Because you just figured, okay, this guy was murdered because of this reason.
Yep, yeah. And if it wasn't one of them, it was probably a passerby that was trying to mug him or rob him or something. So that's exactly how the police are investigating it. And it's not being very fruitful.
No. Well, it takes place, obviously, in this tiny little town where they don't get much stuff like this. And these detectives aren't exactly the greatest. They naturally assume it's someone, and without actually looking for evidence, they beat them into confessing and believing themselves.
Confessing.
Yeah, confessing. They beat them into the point where they believe, they just believe it. It's just the end of torture. And someone from Seoul shows up and starts whipping them into shape a little bit there. At first, of course, they don't like him. They think he's just trying to show them up and everything. Mm-hmm. But at first,
city folk.
He starts to connect the dots and realize that everyone here seems to have a connection somehow. They aren't being killed by random people. These murders are connected somehow.
The method is very similar. The time it takes place, it always takes place on rainy days, very similar. The clothing is very similar.
Yep. And it's a rape murder case is what it is, and it's super gross and creepy and disturbing.
Yes.
On so many levels. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they think they have a suspect. They have a really good idea who this kid is, because he's a mentally challenged boy who was super obsessed with the recent victim.
Yes.
And he actually obviously they torture the poor guy. And they take him to the woods where they expect him to confess. They have the recording and everything. And he's going on. And the guy from the city is like, okay, this is not helping. This isn't working. This kid did not do it. He just didn't. So he's, doing his own thing. And how Korea works, they make you reenact the murder.
Yes.
So during that, all heck breaks loose. And the guy from Seoul, the city boy, tried to convince the chief that, no, look, this kid didn't do it. He didn't do it. But, the guy got all really pissed at him and told him to leave. And later, because of all went wrong, they actually dropped the charges of the kid. They're all upset, and they were talking about how they even got the recording and everything. And, of course, the guy from the city's like, please,
blows off, yeah,
you made him say that. I mean, you guys rehearsed it. So he knows the guy obviously didn't do it. So they're moving on. They eventually go back. This is when the chief inspector comes into play, and he pleads his case about the whole, or not the chief inspector, but the guy from Seoul pleads his case about the whole it's a serial killer. Well, yeah, they don't use that phrase, but they say this is the same killer, and he's killed multiple people. And they talk about, well, it's just been 2 victims. It's been 3. And they're like, what? He's like, we just haven't found the 3rd body yet. And eventually they do. And it fits to every description the guy said about the whole red clothing, about the rainy nights, about just the way they were murdered. The panties on the head is choked they're gagged with their own stocking with a rock in it, that kind of thing. It's everything's the exact same.
The MO is the same.
The MO, yes. So that's when they start taking it a little bit more seriously. They go to the scene of the crime, if you will, and someone shows up there. We won't go into too much detail because that's disturbing. And they grab him. Eventually, after chasing him down, he ends up running to a place where he's dressed the same as everyone else. They're all wearing masks. But how they figure out it's him is because he happened to take off his pants, and they end up seeing a
very effeminate red underwear,
very fluffy and furry red underwear, and so a certain guy is bending over, and you can see that red underwear. So the beat cop, who really isn't much, who's always being outshined by the city cop, notices that, and so he pulls his old trick of, "Look into my eyes, it's him," and he's playing it up because really he just saw the underwear and that's all he knew. It's nothing to do with him actually looking into his eyes, even though he plays that card a lot.
He does
in the movie,
even on his own kids eventually.
Yeah. So later, they're beating this guy. They're trying to get him to confess. They have him hung upside down by his legs, and he's saying, "Yes, I did it," and they're making him explain exactly how he did it, and he's like, "Oh no, that's not how it happened. You got to fix it." So they're literally making him rehearse. So when they record him, they can throw the book at him.
Meanwhile, the guy from Seoul, he's been doing his own investigation, and he ends up finding a very important piece of evidence. Who is that?
Well, while waiting, at one point, they have the girl cop who walks the rainy nights. They're trying to drag him out there to,
bait.
They end up hiding in this little shack, and they end up having 2 schoolgirls come in. And they told them about the secret. They said that apparently there's a man who lives in their outhouse or whatever like that behind the middle school, and he creeps out in the middle of the night, the rainy nights, and he's doing all these horrible things. Well, eventually different things happen, and he ends up going back to that middle school, talking to that same one of the 2 girls. She ends up getting hurt, and he ends up putting a band-aid on her back for her because she got hurt during one of the drills. Yeah. Like a pebble got stabbed into her back. Okay. Anyway, so he goes down to the outhouse, finds one of the teachers there.
Yes.
Whoops. And apologizes. He's explaining, and she's like, "Wow, so because our kid said he went down here." But then she just ended up saying something that caught his attention. Apparently, there's a woman that goes there a lot and cries all the time. They hear her crying. They all say she's a strange one, lives out, in the middle of nowhere. So he goes out there to find her, and she's super paranoid. He has to show her that he's a cop, a legit cop. You see her one scene previous, and it starts to rain, and she grabs all of her clothes and just books inside. She's like, okay, she knows something. They end up getting the female cop down there so they can talk woman to woman. She was actually, I want to say, one of the first victims of this man, but for whatever reason, he didn't kill her.
We never really find out why.
She claims it's because she closed her eyes and she never looked at his face.
I think most likely she was actually the first, and he couldn't go through with it, is what I'm thinking.
Until obviously later when he actually did start killing them. But, yeah. So she scarred for life, but she made a comment that though she never saw his face, his hands were very
distinctive.
Yeah, very girl-like. They were soft, almost like lotiony. After hearing this, he runs back and he grabs the guy who's hanging upside down, grabs his hand, and realizes, well, this guy's been a worker all of his life. His hands are very callous. So it's not him. He didn't do it. He starts to walk away, and they're like, wait, what are you talking about? He turns and asks the guy, did you do it? He's like, yes, I did it. He's like, shut up, no you didn't. So he leaves. They get into a fight now. The guy from Seoul and the guy who recognized his fluffy underwear.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the fight, the girl cop screams at them because she also had a discovery. A certain song that isn't very popular plays every rainy night, and every single time when it plays, a murder happens.
Yes. It's always requested by the same person.
They send a postcard that says, "Can you play this on a rainy night?" And when they first discovered this, they went and checked it out. But of course, they don't keep very good records. So they hear it, they call, they think it's the studio thinks it's a prank because they're saying we're the cops, so it's going to die tonight, and that kind of thing. So the girl's like, screw it, I'm gonna go to the station myself. So she does. Everyone else is out there looking. They don't know what to do. They know something's gonna happen, and something did.
Yeah.
They find another body. Plus side, they find an address and a name for that postcard. So they know who has been sending in, who's been requesting this song. They go and they grab them. They don't really have enough evidence to keep them.
Yeah. And
the one of the beat cops, his job was to beat everyone up.
He was kind of the enforcer.
He was a beat cop. And he ends up snapping and kicking the kid in the face. And he gets in huge trouble. And there's always this one reporter who's always around because they always need a story. And the cops obviously are breaking the rules all the time. So, yeah. He ends up getting, not necessarily suspended, but he's told he's not allowed to go back in there.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to be in interrogation anymore. So in a way, yeah, I guess he was suspended.
He's under investigation.
Yeah. They had to release the guy. They don't know what to do. They need to nail him somehow. Both the soul cop's slowly wearing down. He's slowly becoming one of them. And actually, at the same time, the beat cop, they're not the one that, the enforcer, but the other one, is actually slowly becoming a better cop.
He's played by Sung Gang-ho, who is the main character in Green Mode, if you remember.
Yes, the monster, the host, whatever you want to call it. So he says, okay, be honest with me. Did you practice that speech with the first, the mentally challenged kid? He's like, no, I keep telling you I didn't practice with him. He's like, well, then how do you know the details? And the way he knew them exactly. And so they listened to the recording again. He was like, you know what? The way he's explaining it, it's not like he did it, is that he saw it.
In Korea, they don't use pronouns very often, so it's really hard to tell the subject of a sentence unless you already know what it is they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so the way he's saying it could be literally taken both ways. And when they start listening to it under a he did this rather than an I did this, it finally clicks for them that the guy was a witness.
Yeah, I mean, it never clicked for him because he's a mentally challenged kid. So they go and find him, but the place where his father works, they go to that store.
Some go someplace.
Yeah, and the other beat cop, the one who's been suspended, is there drinking. He's drunk off his mind. And the TV's playing stuff about the case, and one of the girls there makes a comment about how dumb and horrible the police force is, and just badmouths them. So he ends up chucking a bottle at the TV screen. They start mocking him by clapping, and he ends up grabbing the girl by the hair and shoving her face into the table. Yeah, he doesn't have much for. He's not much of a gentleman. Let's put it that way. And a fight breaks out. The mentally challenged kid does show up and starts freaking out, seeing the fight, seeing the same guy who beat him, ends up grabbing a piece of wood that has a nail on it and just slamming it into the guy's leg. So now he's got this board literally nailed to his leg. And the kid runs off, not knowing what to do. So the other two cops chase after him, leaving their friend there to get the crap beat out of him with a nail in his leg. But not much you can do there, man. They chase after him. They catch him. They explain to him, no, we're not going to hurt you. We're not going to hurt you. You don't understand. We need you to...
Alive, yeah.
We need you alive. We need you to talk to us here. And so he starts to explain that he actually hid in a haystack. They actually go there because they're nearby where the crime scene was. Crime scene.
Yes.
And he's explaining what he saw. And they held up the picture of the boy, or the young man who they believe is the killer, the one who sent the postcard in all the time. And the kid starts to ramble. Talks about his face is kind of deformed. He's got burnt really bad on the side of his face. He starts talking about that when he was little and how they burned him and everything. They're like, no, we need you to focus. Focus. Some of the people from the bar or the restaurant should find them thinking that they're part of the, they're with the guy who was beating the crap out of their girl.
Yeah.
So another fight breaks out, and the kid runs. The soul cop is not able to get away from this fight, but the other cop was. The beat cop, as I call him. And he runs after him. He's standing on a train track and blowing his whistle. It's going crazy. And the other guy's trying to climb up to him. He's kind of on I was at the top of a hill.
Yeah.
He's trying to climb up there. It's it's wet, it's slippery. It just rained the other night, which is why a murder took place.
Yes.
And he's trying to get up to him. And he starts screaming at him, you gotta move now. And the kid doesn't. He turns and he gets getting nailed by the train right before the guy could grab him. So he ends up being covered in the kid's blood because trains move kind of fast.
Yeah. So there goes their only witness, their best lead at the moment.
Can't catch a break.
But they still have one major breakthrough on the most recent victim they found semen on the clothing of the victim, and so they're able to send it away for a DNA test.
But they have to send it to America.
Now, this is actually really weird trivia. In real life, they sent it to Japan, not to America. Why in the movie they have it sent to America instead of Japan? I have no idea. Possibly the screenwriter knew that they had to send it abroad and just assumed America. I have no idea. But in the movie, they send it to America, and they have to wait for it to arrive before they can try to use it to convict the guy that they're watching. But because of the one cop that now has a nail in his leg, because he was, abusing them, and the press found out, that guy got released. So now that all they can do is trail him. They can't bring him back in just yet.
Yeah. And speaking of that cop, the nail ended up being rusty. He had getting tetanus in his leg, and they took too long, and so they had to amputate.
Yeah.
So not only is he no longer a cop, he lost his leg, and it's all crap. And so the other beat cop is just feeling horrible. He doesn't know what to do. They know they have to catch this guy, and this cop actually has a love interest, if you will. Yeah. She's kind of a doctor.
Yeah.
She takes care of him. She does she does other things. She helps out a lot of people. And she's
they're married.
Yeah, they're married at that point. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if they're married then or they get married later. Anyways, okay, so it's his wife, and she's walking in the middle of the night. It's starting to rain a little bit, getting a little drizzling, and you see in the woods someone's watching her. You're like, oh crap. But she ends up passing by someone. She ends up walking by the student that actually kind of helped them in the case. The young little middle school girl who the Soul cop actually kind of bonded with, and the guy goes after her, drags her to the middle of the woods and does his thing. And so recently he's been doing a lot of more gruesome and creepy things we're not going to get into because it just makes you want to throw up. And so this young girl had to experience that. All this crap happened to her. It's just, yeah, you just can't imagine. And he goes up and he sees it's her, and they peel off the old Band-Aid on her back from where he put it, and he snaps. He starts turning into one of them, and screw the law. I'm taking it into my own hands. He goes and finds the guy, beats the ever-living crap out of him, and gets ready to shoot him and just kill him. He's tired. He's done. But before he can, the other cop shows up, the beat cop, and says, "Wait, we got the test result. We got it back. Stop." And he goes, runs up, and he ends up kicking the kid too, and he's going, "You're going to jail where you belong." And he opens it up, and obviously it's in English, and it wasn't him.
The results come back negative.
He was not the killer. Everything matched up perfectly. It should have been him. It could have been him. As I said, it should have been. And he doesn't know what to do. He said, no, they got it wrong. They had to get it wrong. He just throws it on the ground. They had to get it wrong. And the other cop runs over, looks at it, kind of squints his eyes a little bit and goes, well, what does it say? Because it's in English.
Yeah, you can't
read English. So he ends up pulling a gun on the kid. Regardless, he said, no, it has to be him. It has to be him. But the other cop stops him. He still ends up shooting at him while he was trying to get away. But that doesn't hit him. And the kid does get away. And it kind of just skips, what, 20 years?
Yeah.
You don't know what's happened. 20 years later, the guy's now the beat cop is now a insurance salesman, or not insurance, but he's a salesman.
Yeah, he sells like a juicer or something.
Him and his wife actually had 2 kids now. He ends up stopping at the place where the first crime happened, well, maybe not the first crime, but the first one that he got involved in. And he goes there, and the body was hidden in like this drain system, just slightly covered, just long enough to fit a body in practically. He goes and looks down there, doesn't see a body again, but he was expecting to. He just went to look there. He stands up, and there's a little girl who asked what he was doing. Like, nothing, just, they start making a little conversation, and she said it was weird. He's like, what's weird? He's like, this happened just the other day. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, the same thing, someone was just looking in there randomly. And so he kind of get kind of curious. Dramatic music's playing. He's like, well, wait, what was he doing? What do you want? She said that all he told me was that he did something here once. He was coming back to look at it, and so he asked, well, can you describe him? She's like, I don't know. He just looked kind of ordinary, and that's how the movie ends.
Just looks sort of plain. This one was a rough one, wasn't it?
Very rough.
Now, this movie, I saw it, it came out in 2003. I actually saw it in 2008, which was the same time I saw the American movie Zodiac, which has a very similar premise. For those of you who remember the Zodiac killings in the U.S. in the 80s, they never found the killer. There's a lot of similarities between these cases. When I saw the movie The Zodiac, I didn't like it very much. It got pretty decent reviews at the time. I didn't like it very much. It focused a lot on the killings and the proposed killers, and not much on what actually happened around them. This movie felt like the exact opposite. You never really got to see the killer per se. And the victims, there was a lot of times where they could have gone more gruesome than they did, and they left a lot of it to the imagination instead.
It kind of just showed you what he could have been doing, what he might have done, and then later they implied that he did do it.
Yeah.
You don't actually see anything, which is thank God.
Yeah, considering the gruesome nature of these murders, the filmmaker showed a lot of restraint. Where they really went deep was with the characters of the detectives. This case ended up costing all three of them their careers eventually. The one guy almost cost him his life, cost him his leg. The one guy, the sole cop, he had a very promising career. That came to an abrupt halt. It's really devastating. And instead of just showing the devastation from the point of view of the killer, they showed how that devastation affected more than just the victims, more than just the killer itself. It affected the people around them, the people investigating the case, the people working there. And that's why the movie impressed me so much. And you don't feel good after watching it. You feel beat up. But not every movie you watch for fun or for enjoyment. Sometimes you watch it for an experience. And that's what I got from this film. So like we do with every film, A, did you like it?
Yes.
B, would you recommend it?
Most certainly.
Now C, to whom?
Okay. If you watch the voice of a murderer, the bastard's voice, whatever you want to translate it, I would say the same thing. I mean, it's based on a true story. This one I think is a little more gruesome than that one. If you can stomach certain things, are just obviously just just telling you what happened briefly is a murderer who rapes and murders, and he does more than just rape and murder. I mean, there's other things that he ends up doing that's really just. So if you can stomach that, if you like a good, based on a true story thriller that's just super creepy and just really just kicks you while you're down, this is a good movie. But definitely do not recommend this to most.
No, not the most. Well, see, the ironic thing is this isn't, subject matter wise, it's not too much worse than some episodes of CSI. Sadly enough. Yeah. But this is based upon a true story that makes a lot of the events feel a little more punch in the gut.
It definitely hits you harder that way.
Yeah. So this has been another Soju Bomb. Soju Bomb. So hopefully next time we'll have a slightly happier film. I really want to get through Teguki and Chingu, which
they aren't happy.
They're not as unhappy.
They're war movies, or the one.
Well, the one is a war movie. I think they're a little more palatable, depending on your mood. So hopefully we'll be able to get through those before he has to go home. So stay tuned. Hopefully I can send some movies to you over there in Korea, or let you can watch them online. Or
we're in Korea now.
We're in Korea now. When you go back to the States from Korea,
there you go.
And we can talk to them over there. We're trying to figure out ways to keep this going, even when he goes back to the States.
Even though no one cares if we do or don't.
Oh, I care.
I do too.
Yay!
Besides, we're the majority of our subscribers and viewers anyways. So as long as we're happy.
We have 5 subscribers at this point, so I want to thank all 5 of you. One is James, one is me, so I want to thank all 3 of you.
And one is Mom, so I want to thank all 2 of you. Although we would thank our mother, of course, too. But.
Yeah, I love you, Mom. But she probably isn't watching this video. At least I hope. At least I hope not. All right, talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye-bye.
No, I love my mommy.